What if I told you that you've never actually seen Earth? I'm serious. Every photo, every view from a plane, every satellite image you've ever witnessed, you've only seen about 29% of our planet's surface. The other 71%? It's hidden beneath a liquid curtain so deep and mysterious that we know more about the surface of Mars than what lies in our own backyard. But here's what will absolutely blow your mind. If you could shrink the Earth down to the size of a basketball, the deepest part of our oceans would be deeper than the height of Mount Everest is tall. And in that crushing darkness, there's an alien world so bizarre that it might as well exist on another planet entirely. By the end of this journey, you'll discover that everything you thought you knew about depth, pressure, and even life itself is about to be turned completely upside down. We're going to dive literally and figuratively into the most extreme environment on Earth, where the laws of physics create impossibilities, where creatures exist that shouldn't be able to survive, and where recent discoveries are forcing scientists to rewrite the textbooks. So buckle up, because we're about to descend into the abyss. And what we find down there will change how you see our planet forever. Hit that subscribe button now, because you're going to want to remember where you heard this first. Let's start with a question that seems simple, but will make your head spin. How do you measure something that wants to kill you? Think of it like trying to measure the height of a skyscraper while standing on top of it in complete darkness, wearing a 500-pound suit with the building constantly trying to crush you. That's essentially what scientists face when measuring ocean depth. The average depth of our oceans is 12,080 feet. That's 2.3 miles. But here's where it gets mind-bending. If you could drain all the oceans and walk across the ocean floor, the landscape would be more dramatic than anything on dry land. We're talking about mountain ranges taller than the Himalayas, canyons deeper than the Grand Canyon, and underwater waterfalls that dwarf Niagara Falls. But here's the kicker. We've only mapped about 20% of the ocean floor in high resolution. The rest? It's like having a map of your neighborhood where 80% of the streets are just blank spaces. The deepest point we know of is the Challenger Deep in the Mariana Trench, measured at 36,200 feet deep. That's nearly 7 miles straight down. To put this in perspective, if you dropped Mount Everest into the Challenger Deep, its peak would still be over a mile underwater. Here's a mind-blown moment for you. The pressure at the bottom of the Mariana Trench is over 1,000 times greater. And at sea level, that's like having 50 jumbo jets pressing down on every square meter. Your body would be compressed to the size of a marble instantly. But measuring this depth wasn't just about dropping a really long rope. The story of how we discovered these depths reads like a spy thriller mixed with a science fiction novel, and it involves some of the most brilliant and obsessed scientists in history. Coming up next, we're going to meet the people who risked everything to peer into the abyss, and what they found down there changed everything. We thought we knew about life on Earth. What if I told you that the deepest point on Earth was discovered by a man who was technically supposed to be mapping the ocean floor to hide nuclear submarines? Meet Marie Tharp, a brilliant geologist who in 1952 was mapping the ocean floor from her desk at Columbia University. While her male colleagues got to go on research expeditions, she was stuck in the office. But this turned out to be the best thing that ever happened to ocean science. Tharp was analyzing sonar data collected by her colleague, Bruce Heason, when she noticed something that should have been impossible: a rift valley running down the middle of the mid-Atlantic ridge. When she showed her findings to Heason, he reportedly said it looked like girl talk. The scientific establishment thought continental drift was nonsense, but Tharp was right. Her hand-drawn maps revealed the mid-ocean ridge system, a 40,000-mile underwater mountain chain that wraps around the globe like the seam on a baseball. This discovery proved that continents do move, revolutionizing our understanding of geology forever. Now, here's where it gets really wild. In 1960, a Swiss scientist named Jacques Piccard and U.S. Navy Lieutenant Don Walsh climbed into a metal sphere called the Trieste, essentially a giant steel ball with a window, and descended 35,813 feet into the Challenger deep dot. Think of it like this. They were in a submarine the size of a small room, descending for over 4 hours into crushing darkness, with only a small window between them and instant death. The pressure outside was so intense that the window actually cracked on the way down, but they kept going. When they reached the bottom, they made a discovery that shocked the scientific world. There was life down there. They saw what appeared to be a flatfish and shrimp-like creatures thriving in conditions that should have been absolutely lethal. But here's the mind-bending part. It took until 2012 to 52 years later for anyone to return to that depth. Film director James Cameron made the solo dive in his custom submersible, the Deep Sea Challenger. And what he found down there was even more incredible than what Piccard and Walsh had witnessed. The technology Cameron used was so advanced that his submarine could withstand pressure equivalent to having the weight of the Eiffel Tower pressing down on every square foot of its surface. And the samples he brought back? They contained entirely new forms of life that had never been seen before. Coming up, we're going to explore the bizarre physics of deep ocean pressure and discover how this crushing environment has created some of the most alien creatures on our planet. Here's what will blow your mind. At the deepest parts of the ocean, water behaves like it's from another dimension entirely. Let me ask you something. If I gave you a styrofoam cup and told you to take it to the bottom of the Mariana Trench, what do you think would happen to it? You might guess it would get crushed, and you'd be right. But here's the mind-bending part. It would shrink down to the size of a thimble while maintaining perfect proportions, like someone had used a shrink ray on it. Think of it like this. Imagine every square inch of your body having the weight of a full-grown elephant pressing down on it. That's the pressure at 20,000 feet deep. At the deepest points, it's like having 5 elephants on every square inch. But water itself does something even more bizarre under this pressure. Dr. Robert Ballard, the oceanographer who discovered the Titanic, discovered that water at extreme depths becomes significantly denser, so dense that it creates distinct layers that act almost like underwater lakes. Here's where physics gets really weird. There are underwater rivers and waterfalls in the deep ocean. The Denmark Strait Cataract, located between Iceland and Greenland, is an underwater waterfall that's over 2 miles tall. That's 3 times taller than Angel Falls, the tallest waterfall on land. Cold, dense water cascades down the ocean floor at a rate of 123 million cubic feet per second. To understand this, think of it like oil and water. But imagine the water is so much denser than the water above it that it flows like a river along the ocean floor. These underwater rivers can be hundreds of miles long and flow for thousands of years. But here's the truly mind-blown moment. In 2019, scientists discovered that at extreme depths, water starts to exhibit quantum mechanical properties. The pressure is so intense that the molecular structure of water begins to change, creating what scientists call superionic ice, water that's simultaneously solid and liquid at the same time. Dr. Marius Mio at Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory used diamond anvils and laser pulses to recreate these deep ocean conditions in the lab. What he found was water in a state that shouldn't exist according to classical physics. The hydrogen atoms become mobile, while the oxygen forms a crystalline structure. This means that at the deepest parts of our oceans, water exists in a state that we're only just beginning to understand. It's like discovering that the most fundamental substance on our planet has been hiding secret superpowers all along. And if water can do impossible things under pressure, imagine what pressure has done to the creatures living down there. Coming up, we're going to meet life forms so bizarre They seem designed by aliens. Asterisk, asterisk. What if I told you that the most alien creatures in the universe aren't on some distant planet? They're living in your planet's basement. Picture this. You're 4 miles underwater, where the pressure would instantly crush a human being. There's no sunlight. The temperature is just above freezing, and the water is more toxic than battery acid. This is where we found creatures that have completely rewritten the rules of biology. Meet the barrel-eye fish. Discovered by Dr. Bruce Robison at the Monterey Bay Aquarium Research Institute. This creature has a completely transparent head. You can literally see its brain through its skull, and its eyes are tubular and can rotate inside its head like turrets on a tank. Think of it like a living submarine with a glass cockpit and radar that can look in any direction. But that's nothing compared to what Dr. Cindy Lee Dover found near hydrothermal vents in 1977. She discovered entire ecosystems thriving around underwater volcanoes, completely independent of sunlight. These communities are powered by chemosynthesis, bacteria that eat chemicals and turn them into energy, like tiny chemical factories. Here's the mind-bending part. These vent communities include tube forms that grow up to 8 feet long with no mouth, no stomach, and no digestive system. They survive entirely on bacteria living inside their bodies. It's like discovering that plants can survive without soil, air, or sunlight. They've literally evolved a completely different way to exist. But the real game changer came in 2020 when Dr. Alan Jamieson from Newcastle University sent cameras to the deepest parts of the ocean and found something that should have been impossible. Fish living at depths where the pressure should liquefy any living tissue. The Mariana snailfish, found at depths of over 26,000 feet, has evolved a body chemistry that seems to defy physics. Instead of having gas-filled swim bladders like normal fish, they've evolved bodies that are essentially pressure-proof. Their bones are soft and flexible, their proteins are structured differently, and they produce special compounds that prevent their cells from collapsing. Think of it like this. Imagine designing a car that gets more efficient the more you crush it. These fish have evolved to not just survive crushing pressure, but to thrive in it. Here's your mind-blown moment. In 2021, scientists discovered microbes living in sediment 35,000 feet below the ocean floor. That's deeper underground than Mount Everest is tall above ground. These organisms have been cut off from the surface world for millions of years, surviving on chemical energy alone. Dr. Yuki Murano from the Japan Agency for Marine Earth Science and Technology found that these deep biosphere organisms reproduce so slowly that a single generation can last 10,000 years. They're essentially living in geological time. Imagine creatures so patient that the rise and fall of human civilizations happens in the blink of an eye for them. Coming up, we're going to explore underwater mountain ranges that dwarf anything on land and discover how the deepest parts of our oceans are actually creating new land and destroying old continents. Here's what will absolutely blow your mind. There's a mountain range underwater that's 20 times longer than the Andes, 10 times longer than the Rocky Mountains, and contains peaks taller than any mountain on land. Welcome to the mid-ocean ridge system, a 40,000-mile underwater mountain chain that snakes around the globe like a planetary scar. If you could drain the oceans, this would be the most dominant feature on Earth's surface, making the Himalayas look like speed bumps. But here's where it gets mind-bending. These mountains are literally growing. The mid-Atlantic ridge spreads apart at about 2 inches per year, roughly the same rate your fingernails grow. That might not sound like much, but over geological time, it's splitting entire continents apart. Dr. Marie Tharp's discovery of this system in the 1950s revealed something that changed everything we knew about our planet. The ocean floor is spreading. New rock is constantly being born at these underwater ridges while old ocean floor is being destroyed at deep trenches. Think of it like a giant conveyor belt made of rock. New ocean floor is created at the ridges and slowly moves toward the continents, where it eventually gets recycled back into the Earth's interior. The entire Atlantic Ocean is getting wider by about 4 inches every year. In 200 million years, it will be twice as wide as it is today. But here's the truly incredible part. These underwater mountains are volcanic. The mid-ocean ridge system contains more active volcanoes than all the land-based volcanoes combined. We're talking about thousands of underwater volcanoes constantly erupting and creating new land. Dr. Robert Ballard discovered that these underwater volcanic eruptions create bizarre landscapes that look like alien worlds. Pillow basalts form when lava hits the cold ocean water, creating rock formations that look like frozen cushions. Hydrothermal vents spew superheated water at temperatures of up to 750 degrees Fahrenheit, hot enough to melt lead, creating underwater chimneys that can be hundreds of feet tall. Here's your mind-blown moment. In 2009, scientists discovered the deepest known hydrothermal vents at the Cayman Trough, over 16,000 feet deep. These vents are so deep and so hot that they create their own weather systems underwater. The hot water rising from the vents creates underwater storms and currents that can be felt hundreds of miles away. But the most incredible discovery came in 2012 when Dr. Donna Blackman from the Scripps Institution of Oceanography found evidence of megaplumes, massive underwater eruptions that can heat millions of tons of seawater instantly and send thermal energy rocketing toward the surface. These megaplumes are so powerful that they can affect global ocean circulation patterns and even influence weather patterns on land. Think of it like underwater nuclear explosions happening regularly on the ocean floor, sending shockwaves through the entire ocean system. And here's the kicker. We've only explored about 5% of these underwater mountain ranges. The vast majority of our planet's most dramatic landscape remains completely unmapped and unexplored. Coming up, we're going to discover how these deep ocean processes don't just affect the ocean, they're literally controlling our planet's climate, and may hold the key to understanding life itself. Asterisk, what if I told you that everything you think you know about climate change is only half the story, and the other half is happening in places so deep that sunlight has never touched them? Here's the mind-bending truth. The deep ocean is Earth's climate control system, and it operates on a scale so massive that it makes human activity look like a whisper in a hurricane. Meet Dr. Susan Lozier from Duke University, who in 2018 made a discovery that shook the climate science community to its core. She found that the deep ocean circulation system, what scientists call the global conveyor belt, is far more complex and powerful than anyone had imagined. Picture this. There's a river in the ocean that's 300 times larger than the Amazon. River flowing along the ocean floor from the Arctic to Antarctica and back again. This deep ocean current, called the meridional overturning circulation, carries 15 million cubic meters of water per second. That's enough water to fill Lake Superior every single day. But here's where it gets incredible. This deep ocean current is what keeps Europe from freezing. Warm surface water flows north in the Atlantic, cools down near Greenland, becomes dense and heavy, then sinks to the ocean floor and flows back south. This process transports as much heat northward as a million nuclear power plants running continuously. Think of it like a massive underwater central heating system for the entire planet. And it's all powered by the temperature and salt content differences in water. That's miles below the surface. Dr. Wallace Broecker from Columbia University discovered in the 1980s that this system can shut down completely and restart within decades. Not centuries or millennia, but decades. When it stops, it can trigger ice ages. When it restarts, it can cause rapid global warming. Here's your first mind-blown moment. Ice core data shows that this deep ocean circulation system has stopped and started dozens of times in Earth's history. causing temperature swings of up to 15 degrees Fahrenheit in just 20 years. That's faster climate change than anything we're experiencing today, but the deep ocean does. Something even more incredible. It's a massive carbon storage system. Dr. Jorge Sarmiento from Princeton University calculated that the deep ocean contains 50 times more carbon dioxide than the entire atmosphere. The ocean has been absorbing about 25% of all human-produced CO2, essentially acting as a giant buffer against climate change. Here's the terrifying part. As the ocean warms, its ability to absorb CO2 decreases. And if the deep ocean circulation slows down, which recent measurements suggest it's already doing, the ocean could start releasing stored carbon back into the atmosphere. But wait, it gets even more mind-bending. In 2019, Dr. Laura Risplandi from Princeton discovered that the deep ocean has been warming much faster than scientists thought. Using data from floating sensors called Argo floats, she found that the deep ocean has absorbed 60% more heat than previous estimates suggested. This means the ocean has been hiding the true extent of global warming. The deep ocean, that cold, dark world miles below the surface, has been quietly absorbing enormous amounts of heat and preventing our planet from warming even faster than it has. Here's your second mind-blown moment. If the ocean stopped absorbing heat today, global surface temperatures would rise by an additional 2 degrees Fahrenheit within just 10 years. The deep ocean isn't just a passive storage system. It's an active participant in controlling our planet's climate. And we're only just beginning to understand how it works. Coming up, we're going to explore how the ocean's deepest secrets might hold the key to understanding the origin of life itself, and what that means for our search for life on other worlds. If I told you that at the bottom of our oceans, there are time machines that can show us what Earth looked like 4 billion years ago, and give us a glimpse of what alien life might look like? Here's where things get absolutely mind-bending. The deepest parts of our oceans are essentially frozen in time, preserving conditions that existed when Earth was a completely different planet. Dr. Everett Schock from Arizona State University made a discovery in 2016 that changed everything we thought we knew about the origin of life. At hydrothermal vents on the ocean floor, he found chemical reactions occurring that are identical to the reactions that scientists believe created the first life on Earth 3.8 billion years ago. Asterisk. Think of it like this. While the surface of our planet has been completely transformed by oxygen, plate tectonics, and evolution, the deep ocean floor still operates like the primordial Earth. It's a window into our planet's infancy, preserved. Under miles of water and crushing pressure, these deep ocean vents are creating organic compounds from scratch using nothing but water, carbon dioxide, and minerals, the same process that likely created the first amino acids and proteins that eventually became life itself. But here's the mind-blown moment. Dr. William Martin from Heinrich Heine University discovered that the chemical gradients around these deep ocean vents create natural fuel cells that can power complex chemistry without any external energy source. It's like nature's own laboratory, running continuous experiments in creating life for billions of years. The implications are staggering. If life can emerge from these deep ocean conditions, then similar environments on other worlds, like the subsurface oceans of Jupiter's moon, Europa, or Saturn's moon Enceladus, could be teeming with life right now. Dr. Chris German from Woods Hole Oceanographic Institution has been studying these deep ocean time machines for over 20 years. In 2020, his team discovered vent systems that have been active for over 120,000 years, meaning they've been continuously creating the building blocks of life since before modern humans existed. But here's where it gets really wild. These ancient vent systems contain mineral formations that look exactly like fossils, but are created purely by chemical processes. Dr. Mike Russell from NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory believes these mineral fossils might be what we should be looking for when searching for life on Mars or other planets. Now think about this. Every time we look at the deep ocean floor, we're literally looking at Earth's baby pictures. The rock formations, the chemical processes, even the types of microbes living there are essentially unchanged from when our planet was young. Here's your second mind-blown moment. In 2021, scientists discovered that some deep ocean microbes have DNA that's barely changed in 2 billion years. These organisms are living fossils, giving us direct access to life forms that existed when the Earth's atmosphere had almost no oxygen and the surface was uninhabitable. Dr. Tori Holer from NASA Ames Research Center has spent his career studying these ancient life forms, and his findings suggest that life in the deep ocean might actually be older and more diverse than life on the surface. The crushing pressure and isolation of the deep ocean has created a parallel evolution, producing life forms that followed completely different evolutionary paths. But perhaps the most incredible discovery came in 2020, when Dr. Yuki Morono's team found microbes buried in 100-million-year-old sediment on the ocean floor that were still alive. After 100 million years of burial, these organisms could still be revived and grown in laboratory cultures. 100 million years. That's longer than dinosaurs existed. These microbes were alive when the first flowers bloomed, when T-Rex walked. The Earth, when the Atlantic Ocean was half its current size. And they're still down there, waiting in the deep ocean's basement, essentially immortal. Coming up, we're going to explore how our relationship with the deep ocean is about to change everything, and how the abyss might hold the solutions to humanity's biggest challenges. Here's something that will completely change how you see your everyday life. Every breath you take, every sip of water you drink, every degree of temperature you experience is controlled by processes happening in places on Earth that are more alien than the surface of Mars. Let me blow your mind with this. Right now, as you're watching this video, the deep ocean is actively regulating the oxygen content of the air you're breathing. About 70% of the oxygen on Earth comes from marine photosynthesis. But here's the kicker. The nutrients that fuel this process come from deep ocean, currents that bring mineral-rich water up from the abyss. Think of it like this. The deep ocean is like a massive irrigation system for the entire planet's oxygen production. Without those deep ocean currents bringing nutrients to the surface, the marine organisms that produce most of our oxygen would starve, and we'd suffocate. But it gets more personal than that. Dr. Andreas Schmittner from Oregon State University discovered that the deep ocean circulation directly affects rainfall patterns across the globe. The moisture in the clouds that bring rain to your hometown likely evaporated from ocean water that was in the deep abyss just months ago. That morning coffee you drank, the water in it was probably cycling through the deep ocean system within. The last year, the deep ocean is constantly mixing with surface water through processes that operate on timescales from days to centuries. You're literally drinking water that has been to the most alien places on Earth. Here's where it gets really mind-bending. Your body contains minerals that came from the deep ocean floor. The calcium in your bones, the iron in your blood, the salt in your tears. These elements were likely processed through hydrothermal vents on the ocean floor at some point in Earth's history. Dr. John Edmond from MIT spent his career tracking how deep ocean chemistry affects global nutrient cycles. His research showed that the deep ocean acts like Earth's circulatory system, distributing essential elements around the planet. Without this deep ocean mixing, continents would run out of nutrients and life on land would be impossible. But here's your mind-blown moment. The deep ocean is literally connected to your DNA. Dr. Lane Mathis from Georgia Tech discovered that the phosphorus essential for DNA and RNA comes from deep ocean sediments that get recycled through the global circulation system. The genetic code that makes you uniquely you depends on chemical processes happening at the bottom of ocean trenches. And if you think that's incredible, consider this. The deep ocean might be actively influencing human evolution. Dr. Curtis Deutsch from Princeton University found that changes in deep ocean circulation over the last 2 million years corresponded with major evolutionary developments in human brain size and complexity. Think about it. The same deep ocean processes that created the conditions for the origin of life are still shaping human development today. We're not separate from the abyss. We're products of it. Here's something that will change how you see your future. The solutions to humanity's biggest challenges, climate change, energy, food security, even space exploration, are all connected to understanding and working with the deep ocean. The deep ocean contains enough dissolved minerals to supply human civilization for millions of years. The biological processes happening in the abyss are teaching us how to create new materials, develop new medicines, and even figure out how to survive in space. Dr. Catherine Coyne from the University of Delaware has discovered that deep ocean organisms produce compounds that could revolutionize medicine. These creatures have evolved to survive in conditions that would kill any surface organism, and their biochemistry is teaching us how to fight cancer, develop new antibiotics, and even slow aging. But perhaps most importantly, the deep ocean is teaching us about our place in the universe. Every time we discover something new in the abyss, we're reminded that we live on a planet that's far more complex, interconnected, and mysterious than we ever imagined. Coming up in our final section, we're going to explore what all of this means for the future and how your generation might be the first to truly explore Earth's final frontier. Asterisk, what if I told you that your generation will be the first in human history to truly explore Earth's final frontier, and what you find down there will determine the future of our species? Here's the mind-bending reality. We're living at the most exciting time in the history of ocean exploration. Right now, as you're watching this, there are more robotic explorers in the deep ocean than ever before, and they're making discoveries that are rewriting the textbooks almost daily. In 2023, scientists discovered the largest known structure on Earth, a deep ocean current system in the Pacific that's larger than all the continents combined. This wasn't found 50 years ago, or even 10 years ago. This was discovered last year. We're finding continent-sized features on our own planet that no human has ever known existed. Dr. Robert Ballard, the explorer who found the Titanic, has a vision that will blow your mind. He believes that within the next 20 years, we'll have permanent human settlements on the ocean floor. Think of it like the International Space Station, but instead of orbiting 250 miles above Earth, it would be 2 miles below the surface in the most alien environment on our planet. But here's where it gets really exciting. These deep ocean habitats could be humanity's training ground for space exploration. The isolation, the pressure, the need for completely closed life support systems living in the deep ocean would be perfect preparation for colonizing Mars or the moons of Jupiter and Saturn. Here's your first mind-blown moment. NASA is already using deep ocean exploration as training for space missions. The NEOMO program sends astronauts to live in underwater habitats for weeks at a time, simulating the conditions they'll face on other worlds. The skills you learn surviving in the abyss translate directly to surviving in space. But the deep ocean offers something even more valuable than training. It offers resources. Dr. Chris van Nijgen from the Geological Survey of Belgium has calculated that there are more rare earth metals on the deep ocean floor than in all known land-based deposits. Combined, these metals are essential for everything from smartphones to renewable energy systems. The deep ocean floor is literally paved with nodules containing manganese, nickel, copper, and cobalt. Exactly the materials we need to build a sustainable future. But here's the incredible part. These nodules grow naturally over millions of years, essentially making the deep ocean floor a self-renewing resource. Think of it like this. Instead of strip mining mountains and destroying forests to get the materials we need, we could potentially harvest resources from the deep ocean floor with minimal environmental impact. It's like having a mine that restocks itself. But perhaps the most exciting possibility is energy. Dr. Shinsu Kawaguchi from the Japan Agency for Marine Earth, Science and Technology has discovered that hydrothermal vents produce massive amounts of energy that could potentially be harvested. We're talking about geothermal power plants on the ocean floor that could provide clean energy for centuries. Here's your second mind-blown moment. Some scientists believe that deep ocean thermal energy could provide enough clean power to run human civilization for thousands of years. The heat differential between the deep ocean and surface water could be used to generate electricity through ocean thermal energy conversion, turning the entire ocean into a massive, clean power plant. But the most incredible possibility is what? We might learn about life itself. Dr. Penelope Boston from NASA has found that studying extremophile organisms in the deep ocean is teaching us how life might exist on other worlds. Every new species we discover in the abyss expands our understanding of what's possible in biology. And here's the kicker. We've probably only discovered about 1% of the species that live in the deep ocean. There could be millions of species down there that we've never seen, each one potentially holding keys to medical breakthroughs, new technologies, or new ways of understanding life itself. Here's something that will give you chills. In 2023, scientists discovered deep ocean organisms that can survive exposure to space. These creatures could potentially survive the journey between planets, meaning that life might naturally spread throughout the solar system via deep ocean organisms. But perhaps the most important discovery is what the deep ocean teaches us about resilience and adaptation. These creatures have survived mass extinctions, ice ages, asteroid impacts, and every catastrophe our planet has faced. They're living proof that life finds a way to survive even in the most impossible conditions. As we face challenges like climate change, resource depletion, and overpopulation, the deep ocean offers solutions we're only beginning to understand. The organisms down there have already solved problems we're just starting to face. How to live sustainably, how to recycle everything, how to thrive in extreme conditions. Your generation has the opportunity to be the first to truly explore this alien world that exists right here on Earth. The technologies you develop, the discoveries you make, the solutions you find in the deep ocean could determine whether humanity becomes a spacefaring civilization or remains trapped on the surface of one planet. Every time you look at the ocean, remember, you're looking at the surface of an alien world that's more mysterious than Mars, more extreme than Venus, and more full of life than anywhere else we know of in the universe. And it's all right here, waiting for you to explore it. The question isn't whether we'll explore the deep ocean. We're already doing it. The question is what incredible discoveries are waiting down there, and how they'll change everything we think we know about life, Earth, and our place in the universe. The abyss is calling. And for the first time in human history, we have the technology to answer. So what are you waiting for? The greatest adventure in human history is happening right now, in the deepest, darkest, most alien places on Earth, and you could be part of it. Hit that subscribe button if this journey into the abyss has blown your mind, because the deep ocean has so many more secrets to reveal. And trust me, we've only just scratched the surface. Thank you for joining me on this incredible journey to Earth's final frontier. The deep ocean isn't just some distant alien world, it's the foundation of everything that makes life on Earth possible, including your life. Every breath you take, every drop of water you drink, every mineral in your body has been touched by the processes happening in the deepest parts of our oceans. Remember, you're not separate from the abyss. You're part of it. And now that you understand the incredible world that exists beneath the waves, you'll never look at the ocean the same way again. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and never stop being amazed by the incredible planet we call home.